2017, give or take a decade ago, the collecting world as we knew it changed. Because today, it's a whole different marketplace. What was the big change? Well, the big change was the introduction of licensed coins. Official coins versus medallions, which are just beautiful pieces, but not legal tender. 2017, Disney stepped to the plate with the first ever Mickey Mouse coin, Darth Vader in 2018 with Star Wars, and the floodgates opened. Today you have Marvel, DC, right? We have Peanuts. We have a number of great licensed coinage items. But the one that gets most of us is DC and Marvel and the comic books, the ones we used to look at that we all wished we would have kept. Now being brought forward in some really scarce, limited legal tender coins. Tonight we have the most popular, finally back in stock. Let's go. So you talk about comic books and so forth. We all have our favorites, right? There's always the big three-big four. Spider-Man, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, right? And then there are going to be those that like the Green Lantern or Flash. One of my favorites when I was a kid was Thor. I just love that big hammer. And it was just something we all grabbed onto, right? But if you go back now and look at what has been done, DC and Marvel together through the New Zealand Mint, who's one of the top end, if not the most top end mint in the world for just creativity, design, look, etc. They merged together for a special program. You'll notice it's not spelled comic with a C at the end, it's spelled with an X at the end. And that's because together they're taking number ones of their greatest superheroes, our superheroes from years ago, and making them into legal tender comic book covers. Now, most of you probably have heard this before, because right there it says Action Comics, because that is what Superman #1 was. Comics with a C. But the program, the merged, is the X. So when you see X, it just means it's special DC and Marvel together. The individual is obviously, in this case, DC, because Superman is DC. So #1 is Action Comics, and it shows him carrying the car. It goes back a long way, right? Last year, they introduced 2 series. The first one that came out was a $2 denomination. You'll notice this one's $5. And it was a 1 ounce. This one is a 2 ounce. On the series, they saved the bigger, more limited one for last. So the 5,000 sold out instantly. Remember what the price was? It was $129.95. Do you remember what the official issue price was for the 2 ounce series? Where only 1,000 of them were made. This series, $199.95. So again, it's our middle name, value. We are always hunting. And one of the greatest things in the world today is swapping. I have this, you have that. Let's look at what we want to do here. And a lot of my friends from Europe or the Far East that have their inventory and they got a few of this left over, a few of that left over. And the year is over, they want Silver Eagles because everybody loves the Silver Eagle. Well, we're from the United States. We have Silver Eagles, or we know how to get them, but we can't find these because we were given an allocation, a small quantity, and ours sold out. So then it's aftermarket and you're hunting it down, and when you hunt something, usually you're paying a premium. Nothing wrong with that, it's just based on how the popularity works. Well, this big swap we just got done completing in the last 10 days, of which Allison was in charge of, brought back a number of great Disney, DC, Marvel products from last year and early this year that we sold out of before we could spell New Zealand. And now we have a few of them back, probably for a 7 or 8 minute conversation once, and then we're on to the next topic. So the comic books, they're back. We got 4 or 5 of them, and over the next few days, our next few shows, we'll be bringing out one a show just to have some fun. But we have to start with comic #1, right? We have to start with the man, Superman. And this is the most limited of the Superman pieces. The comic book series. The classic comics, as they would call it. 1,000 pieces, that is it. Now, most of us know the story of the Man of Steel and Kryptonite and all the stories of Krypton, the planet, and so forth. They've made a gazillion movies over the last half century. And as they progress, just the detail with the capabilities of graphics and so forth just makes them so entertaining. It now has a whole new following. From when I was a kid in the early 60s, right? This was right there for me. Now with my kids, now in their early 30s, the same thing. Because of all the new movies that have been brought forward, they become fans generations later, and it just carries over. It's no different than many of you that might have listened to music when you were younger, and your younger children heard the music, and now you go to their house to visit, and they're playing your music because that's kind of how they grew up, and they kind of went back to it. It's just a fun thing. Oh well, I'm digressing. So I've been told. So let's look at this, everybody, as what it is. It is like the holy grail of all the special DC and Marvel pieces issued in 2023. The 1-ounce series, the $2 denomination with an edition of 5,000 was a wonderful thing. We sold out. Many of you worked with us on it, and it was a great piece. They blew it up to a 2-ounce size. The packaging's very similar. As you can tell on the front, it says 2-ounce, but on the back of the box, it has all the details of what the 2-ounce is all about. The imagery on the front is identical because it is the comic book recreated under the license of DC Comics. Number one, period. Tonight, with our competition at $239 to $249. Which makes sense. It started out at $199, and the market's tough on this one. Who doesn't love the Man of Steel? Well, tonight we have the Man of Steel. We have the rarest of the Man of Steel from 2023, and our price point, well, while they last, is $149.95. Guys, give me a 30-second clock. I told you earlier that when we get close to a sellout, if you're putting things into your shopping cart, avccoins.com, I'll let you know. This one, I'm letting you know. If it's in your shopping cart, push what you have in there through, lock it down, get the order number, and if we can entice you with anything else as the show goes on, give us a holler. Our operators will be happy to find you and add to it. Isn't that what it's all about? So again, tonight, the Marvel-DC, the comic, the X. Number one, Superman, but the rare format, 2-ounce silver. And tonight our price is just $149.95.